I want you to take a look at this picture snapped from a group of friends back in 2012. Let me explain the haunting backstory behind this picture. It's not for the faint of heart. These friends are thrill seekers, right? So their thing is that they go to explore abandoned buildings all throughout their state in Illinois. But there was one town in particular that really piqued their interest because allegedly it had a madman who was still on the loose. One who police believed was responsible for several bodies that were found in this area, all with their heads missing, assuming that he took them with him. So they come to this town because they're planning to spend the night in this abandoned hospital in this picture so they can record content. But as the night goes on and things get darker, they suddenly get this eerie feeling like they're not alone in this hospital. But while they're exploring in the dark, they start snapping pictures on their phone to try to illuminate the rooms that they're in, and they finally start to explore the showers, which was where they snapped this photo, which was more than enough to scare them into leaving. They didn't know what that was, so they called police, who searched the hospital and realized that's not a mask.
Terrifying cursed games you should never play, Part 2. The Man in the Fields game. If you win this game, you will be granted physical and financial protection for an entire year. But if you lose, the consequences could be dire. To begin this game, you must summon the Man in the Fields. To do this, you'll need to go into your backyard with a lantern and ask 7 times, but who will scare the crows away? If you hear nothing after the 7th time, then the summoning has failed and the game is over. But if you hear a voice in your head saying, "That's not your biggest problem," the game has begun. At this point, the first thing you'll need to do is go into your house and find a room with only one door. You'll need to close everything in it that can be closed. This includes drawers, bags, etc. This will be your safe room. Once you leave this room, you will find that everything that can be opened in your house will be open, and your job is to close all these items again before the clock strikes 12. If you see a shadowy man in your peripheral vision, ignore him. He's not the one you should be worried about. However, if you look at the backyard at all, even accidentally, you'll need to return to your safe room immediately and remain there until 6 a.m. Otherwise, you'll be caught by the Man in the Fields. Finally, once you have closed everything else in the house, close your eyes and keep them closed until 6 a.m. This will end the game. Comment whether or not you would play this game, and follow for more.
Let's talk about it. This creepypasta scared me as a child. Picture's the most terrifying part of it. The story, it's still terrifying, but okay, I'm just gonna tell you. So Jeff the blank is about this 13-year-old named Jeff that basically got badly hurt while protecting his brother. His brother's bullies left him extremely hurt, and his face was just not his face anymore. So when Jeff woke up at the hospital after this incident, he basically saw his face and said that his face was new and beautiful. However, others thought otherwise. When they got home, his mother found Jeff giving himself a smile. I can't describe it because it's a little too much. He did that because he said that way he won't have to force a smile. Here's the picture. Please be advised, it's really scary.
Have you ever wondered how accurate police sketches are? I'm going to show you someone who committed a crime and then a sketch, and we're going to see. And this is a series, so follow along for more. So in 1971, John List annihilated his entire family. John had recently lost his job, but for a while he was pretending that he still had a job. He would leave his house in the mornings, but would spend the whole day just reading and not being at work. He knew his family would eventually catch on, so on November 9th, very slowly and methodically, one by one, he took the lives of his mother, his wife, and all 3 of his children. And then he disappeared to start a new life. That is, until 18 years later, when Frank Bender, a police sketch artist, debuted this clay bust of what he thought John would look like at this time on America's Most Wanted. He age progressed John 18 years from the last time he had been seen, and he even got his glasses right. The bust was so accurate that a man named Robert Clark would be arrested in Denver because his neighbors called in a tip to the FBI. John had been living under that name for 18 years.
Here's another one of the most interesting and terrifying SCPs in existence. If you are unaware, SCP stands for Secure, Contain, Protect, and it is an organization in charge of locating and protecting us from things that operate outside of natural law. Before I get to the SCP, I'm giving a shout out to one person in the description of the next video. All you have to do is press share copy link and comment what SCP I should do next. If you don't know any, just pick a random number. Today we'll be discussing SCP-3008, the Infinite IKEA. When you enter SCP-3008, you may not notice that anything is wrong until you search for the exit and notice it's gone. This is because as soon as you enter those doors, you are transported to an alternate dimension. It is populated by creatures made entirely of skin with no facial features dressed as IKEA employees. They are peaceful while the lights are on, but when the lights go off, they become very violent. It is currently unknown how many people are lost in the store.
This is why if you're staying in a hotel and you hear a noise outside your room, you should never open the door to check. So as cabin crew, we obviously travel a lot and stay in a lot of different hotels and have a lot of really weird stories. This story was told to me, and to be honest, it really creeped me out. So this person had landed from a really busy flight, was very tired and just wanted to go straight to sleep. When she got into bed, she was struggling to sleep because she could hear children laughing and children playing outside her room. This went on for about half an hour. After half an hour, she got frustrated and she called reception on the phone and let them know that children were playing outside her room and that she couldn't sleep. The hotel reception then informed her that the room was solely for crew. There was no other members of the public, children or people staying on that floor. She said okay and obviously tried to go back to sleep. The running up and down and laughing from outside continued, so she decided she'd get out of bed and go and look outside to see what all the noise was about. So she opened the door, had a quick look outside. Nobody was there, the noise had stopped, so she shut the door again. Once she got back into bed and tried to go back to sleep, she could hear the running and the laughing and the children playing again. She called hotel reception again by the phone and let them know that the noise was still continuing and there was definitely children playing on the floor. The staff reassured her that there were no children and they apologised for the noise. By this point, she was obviously really frustrated because she just wanted to sleep, so she decided to get dressed, go down and speak to reception personally. The hotel staff didn't seem to believe her when she said she could hear someone outside her room, so she requested to watch back the CCTV footage. This is where the story gets creepy. She then watched herself open the door, let a little boy walk into the room before closing the door again.
This is York's infamous plague house. This little house in York is the site of a terrible tragedy and what some people claim to be the most haunted house in the UK. Hi guys, I'm on a work trip here in York to do a Halloween live stream, and I wanted to tell you about the horrific tragedy that happened to the family who lived here in this little house in the shadow of York Minster Cathedral. In the late Middle Ages, the family who lived in this house contracted the Black Plague. Terrified, the townspeople bricked them up inside their own home to prevent the spread of infection. Soon, the whole family inside the house was dead, apart from their youngest daughter, who was free from disease. Despite this, the people of York refused to let her out. They abandoned this girl inside her own home, surrounded by her dead family. This little girl cried at the window for days until she eventually died of starvation. There have been loads of sightings of this little girl's face looking out of this window. And during our live stream, our producer tried to get us to communicate using some questionably effective ghost equipment, and we thought it said my name.
What's your name? McKenna?
I heard them say McKenna. Anyway, guys, we have loads more content coming from our trip to York, so stay tuned.
Terrifying games you don't want to play, part 31. Lookie. If you are able to survive this game, you will receive a gift which is valuable beyond belief. However, the consequence of losing is a long and painful death. To play the game, you will need a candlestick, a match or lighter, and a bucket of white paint. Once you have acquired these items, you'll need to use the white paint to draw images of eyeballs on every window around your house. Be warned, if you miss a single window, your house will not be protected, and the game will become impossible to win. Once you have finished your paintings, you'll need to find a room without windows, close the door, and wait until midnight. Once the clock strikes 12, you'll need to light your candlestick and say the words "Lookie, come and see, lookie, you won't find me" 3 times in succession. This will summon the Looksee Man. For the next 6 hours or until sunrise, the Looksee Man will move around your house, trying to catch a glimpse of you through the windows. Your job will be to continuously move around the house without being caught. You also cannot let your candlestick go out, or you will automatically lose the game. If you're able to survive until sunrise, blow out your candle and the Looksee Man will disappear, leaving you with the gift of future sight and all the benefits that come with being able to see into the future. However, if you are caught, you will be taken away to the Looksee Man's lair, where he will consume your eyes and leave you to die alone. Comment whether or not you would play this game, and follow for more.
Fairy tales with surprisingly dark origins. Peter Pan. If you grew up watching movies from the golden age of animation, chances are you've heard the tale of Peter Pan and the magical world of Neverland, where little boys never have to grow old, and other than a few chance encounters with the mischievous Captain Hook, really have no worries whatsoever. However, as paradisial as this might seem, in the original tale, the inhabitants of Neverland have much bigger worries than a simple pirate, In fact, Captain Hook isn't even the main villain of the story. That title belongs to Peter himself. That's right, Peter Pan the Wonder Boy is the villain in his own story. Even in modern variations of this tale, he's not exactly a good guy. Stealing children away from their homes and preventing them from maturing to adulthood is quite sinister indeed, but it gets so much worse the further back you go. For example, in the original tale, it was said that every time a person drew a breath in Neverland, a grown-up in the real world would pass away. And knowing this, Peter would intentionally breathe as quickly as possible whenever he got upset, just to cheer himself up. Not to mention the torture he put the Lost Boys through, or the fact that he would thin them out whenever they reached adulthood. Oh, and in case you're a Tinkerbell fan, she tries to end the life of Wendy out of pure jealousy. Fairies are never innocent. Comment what fairy tale I should do next, and follow for more.
Normal looking photos that have a disturbing backstory. Part 27. This photo shows an elderly couple doing the hokey pokey with a man named Dennis Rader, also known as the BTK Killer. He installed alarms for a living, and ironically, many clients booked his services to prevent him from entering their homes. This photo shows Luchadora Juana Barraza. She was sold to a man for 3 beers by her mother until her stepdad found her at age 17. Over the years that followed, she would strangle and rob over 45 old women that reminded her of her abusive mom. The man in the background is Christopher Wilde, aka the Beauty Queen Killer. This picture was taken on June 15th, 1984, and Chris is scouting future victims at a beauty pageant. This photo shows John Edward Robinson holding a baby girl named Tiffany. Just one day before this photo was taken, he murdered the baby's mother and gave Tiffany to his brother, saying that she was adopted. His brother, along with Tiffany, didn't find out the truth for 15 years.